Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love the fact that we started with the food announcements. I mean, that is kind of important. Don't worry, I'm not going to get you, make you wait here too long for lunch, because I mean, that's the important part. That's what we're here for. But without further ado, MapLibre. We, some of us at least, have amazing data. We want to show it. That's where MapLibre comes in. So we have this amazing stack that, and probably should stay away from that microphone just in case. And this talk is about the story of MapLibre and also where we are and where we're going, some successes, some more successes, no failures. Anyway, MapLibre. So what is it? First and foremost, it's projects. Amazing software, and only software. We do not do services. Some people come in and say, like, well, can we use your tiles? Not really, we don't have any tiles. We're just the software organization. We deal with software tools just to make you, to empower you, both individuals, volunteers, large corporations, to have the most amazing maps experience possible. The main one is, that's what got us started, it's MapLibre Web. Then we've upgraded to MapLibre Native, the embedded devices in C++. We deal with Martin Tile Server, which I'm going to talk about. Well, actually, Frank is going to cover it. And then the Maputnik, the style editor. And lastly, something I'm mostly involved in right now is the new tile format that should hopefully offer a lot of benefits. We are the community. Community is extremely important, and that's what made us a big success story. Communities all over the world. You are part of the community. If you're listening to me, well, that's almost automatic. And we're the organization. We're a nonprofit. We exist to support the projects that you saw. We have sponsors. We have a board, just like grown-ups. We make sure that the community is able to contribute. Everyone's contributions are considered. We guide those contributions until they get merged. We work with large and small companies and individuals to make it all happen. We have amazing sponsors who help us hire full-time and part-time maintainers so that they can guide you all your contributions into the repo. So a bit of history. It all started with this little change commit to the Mapbox repository. Changing the license, saying, well, we're no longer Mapbox. Mapbox GLJS is no longer open source. We're now closed source. That resulted in me tweeting, I don't like this fact. How about we start a fork, fully open source, continuing the amazing work that Mapbox has done. Very first response within 15 minutes. CEO of Mapbox saying, we love open source. Well, we love you too, but we have to move forward with the open source. And that's how essentially this MapLibre thing was born. Timeline. What have we done in the last 5 years? Well, mostly quite a lot of things, actually. So we forked in 2020. We did all the rebranding, because one of the big aspects of any kind of project when you fork it is rebranding it. You have the rights to the code. You do not have the rights to the name. So you rebrand it. And we got it released. Then in the same 2021, we got MapLibre Native fully onboarded. We converted the entire JavaScript code of Mapbox GLJS to TypeScript. I know for a fact that Mapbox engineers were really envious of that one. We got some amazing sponsors in 2022 that really allowed us to grow up and actually have full-time staff on board to drive these efforts. We then decided to up our game and actually had a board with a charter and all the other proper documentation. We joined Open Collective. How many of you actually know Open Collective or heard of it? Has anyone heard? It's quite an interesting organization. It's like an umbrella organization that gives you 503, like nonprofit status. But at the same time, and they do all the finances and all the paperwork, taxes, like everything that you would need. They take 10% for this basically, and they vouch for you in front of large players. So if Microsoft, for example, wants to donate some money to your project, they don't have to do all the due diligence. They actually trust Open Collective to do the due diligence to trust your project, which is very convenient. And then we got Metal support, we got Vulkan support, and we got the Globe. People were kind of upset that we're appealing to the Flat Earth Society, and we just decided to, okay, fine, Globe time. So who's using MapLibre? Wikipedia uses MapLibre. Amazon has a lot of usage for it. We got Bing Maps. Bing Maps is like almost like Google Maps, but Bing, Microsoft. That's actually MapLibre. Tons of devices. Most of you actually have MapLibre native C++ version installed on your phones. We got Lyft using it. So when you're in the airport and your phones, and you call a taxi and then your phone starts draining battery real fast, it's probably us. Grab is using it. Street Complete. Rivian, my personal favorite, I work for Rivian, and I got MapLibre to be adopted in our cars. You know, modern cars, they kind of need more than just hardware. They use software for some reason, and a lot of that software, and some of it is mapping, and quite successfully. And with Rivian, it's actually quite interesting, because with Rivian, we got MapLibre that uses Google's data. So that's also possible if you get proper licensing from Google. So developments, what have we been actually up to? As I mentioned, Globe. That's probably the biggest 2025 success story. We finally figured out the mathematics. We got PM tiles support in MapLibre native. So you can use PM tiles directly from native without the server. I'm not going to go into PM tiles, what it is and how it works. You should have come to my workshop for that. But it works quite nicely and allows serverless serving. We got Vulkan support in MapLibre native, which was another big success, because, you know, for some reason, OpenGL is kind of fading out, and we need to support now more modern technologies. In MapLibre native, we got plugin layer support, which allows very elaborate 3D visualizations that some companies are very eager to use. So this is not the same as Cesium. This is actually a different approach of doing 3D modeling on top of the 2D map or 2.5D map. We're experimenting. It's not done. Well, technically, WebGPU is not even done for Linux in Chrome, so it's clearly an experimental technology. But we're experimenting with actually using WebGPU directly in the browser as well, which will allow us, or at least help us, consolidate the technology stack. Martin, Frank. Oh, let me introduce. Okay, so stay here. About a year ago, I've been very actively maintaining Martin, which you'll find out what it is in a second, and a lot of drive-by contributions were happening from all sorts of folks. Just 2 months ago, we had like 10 contributions in one release, in 1 month. New contribution, new people joined the project. So it was very active. And yet one person stood out. He started not just contributing, but really organizing, managing, gained a lot of rights in the project because he was taking a lot of the load off me. And now he's essentially driving Martin project forward. And that's Frank.
Hi. So first of all, what's Martin? Thanks for the clicker. It's a tile server. It's the fastest one out there, according to some a bit dubious measurements, but like the gist is what counts. Has multiple backends for PM tiles, MB tiles, Postgres, like you name it, the things you kind of want. It is capable to run in AWS Lambda, so you can run it in a serverless environment. have your tiles on S3 as a PM tiles, run AWS Lambdas in front of that. It has all the things you need for a MapLibre-based map, and it's, I think, the simplest way to run us. Unless you want to run, I'll go to one of the tile providers, which is fine. That works too. We have pretty good support for Postgres, which means that we also have like table support and function support, and yeah, you can have multiple databases and you can combine those layers. It works quite nicely. We now have also a nice front end, so it's nice and visual, and you can use it for all your styling needs. Looks kind of fancy, but hey. And we have some tooling around that. For example, you can use Martin CP to extract tiles from a Martin server, which is useful if you are a car company. Or other toolings such as, for example, binary diffing between the previous state of the tiles and now state of the tiles, useful for car companies. So you can ship smaller diffs to your cars or embedded devices. And yeah, things like that. It works. We have a toolkit around that. More on Yuri.
Oh, this one is also kind of yours, but okay. Yes, so deltas is actually quite nice if you want to distribute your tile sets to offline scenarios, not just cars, by the way. Like if you are in some areas without internet, we've all been to those areas, like subway, maybe, or some other ones. That would be like a very good way to just ship deltas, so you don't have to update the entire tens or hundreds of gigs of data sets. Martin will support ability to style, experiment with your tiles, so your development can happen via Martin as well. What's coming up in Martin? We are about to release 1.0 version. I mean, it's a big step. It only took us 8 years to get here. We are working on server-side rendering. In other words, you can style your tiles, convert them to images on the server side, which is a big thing for quite a few use cases. For example, if you want to include a small image of the area in your email and just message it to the customers for whatever reason, we'll integrate Maputnik, as I mentioned earlier, and MapLibre tile format. That's my personal big favorite that we're going to discuss now. So the next generation of tiles. We love our tiles. Tiles are really cool. They, especially vector ones, are the ones that we ship to the client, and we want them rendered really quickly, to be as small as possible, and just contain every possible data we kind of want from that. So Marcus, in the lower right corner, approached me a couple of years ago saying like he actually has one of the ways to do this, and he proposed a format which resulted in up to 6 times size reduction of a MVT tile that we all use every day. It's a columnar format, very similar to GeoParquet or Arrow, that's all in columns, like modern database styles use. It's SIMD optimized, which means you can actually use CPU for very efficiently decoding it. It has a lot of optimizations to make it very easy to move the tiles directly to GPU and decode some of it there. And we're hoping to realize those gains in performance. Tessellation is a big one. So how many of you actually know what tessellation is? Okay, so when you draw polygons, and remember, MapLibre is all GPU optimized, which means you want to draw polygons and 3D shapes very efficiently on GPU, and guess what? GPUs do not know what polygon is. They only know what a triangle is. So what you do is you take a polygon, you convert it to a triangular mesh, and then you let GPU handle it. That step, it's called tessellation, is a very slow step as part of parsing, we have estimated up to 30% of the parsing time in MapLibre native to be taken by that. So now it will be possible to include the pre-tessellated data directly into the tile so that the clients do not need to spend that time. New data types. So M values is one of my, for those who know that reference, that's what MLT stands for. 2 minutes. Okay, so speeding up a little bit. So new use cases. We got value, M values. In other words, we'll be able to have per vertice value, attribution per vertice, something like elevation or the width of the road or the timestamp when that measurement was taken. Routing, possibly, some of the layers for the routing so you can do rerouting while you're driving. Again, car use case, but also for many other use cases might be possible. Possibly some 3D, attaching models directly into the tile. Everything is possible because now we actually are able to add more functionality directly to all layers of the stack, from the serving to data processing to visualization. So call to action, very quickly and somewhat of abusing my position here on the stage. In order for us to survive as an open source / business interactions, what we need is companies need to form open source funds, it's a way for middle management to very easily designate certain small portions of the fund that's already allocated to open source to the specific projects critical to the business. So if I am a middle manager, we use some component that is critical for us as X, it should be very easy for me to say, I want to allocate $1,000 from this fund to this project, without all the paperwork required for the usual vendor sign on and everything. So if it has to be critical to the open source, it has to be critical to the company, and that's where this model could work quite efficiently. Because otherwise, even a few dollars that are very easy for a company to spend on an open source project becomes such a complex endeavor, no one wants to even bother with this. So stay up to date. Join us at GitHub discussion, GitHub issues. Slack is where we all hang out. We use OSM US Slack. We're the biggest community in OSM US Slack, where we have over 1,500 people there. We regularly publish newsletters. We have technical steering committees every month where you can come and join us on Zoom and discuss it. And we have a whole bunch of social media stuff. So thank you very much for coming. And do we have any time for questions?
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. Nice.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Yuri, for the update. And we have time for questions. We have 5 minutes. So please, anyone have a question? I have a question. There's a lot of emphasis on serverless tiles. Like, why? Why don't you want to run a server? I'm not very technically adept.
Sure. So when you are a DevOps, or when you're a small shop, and you have tons of data to publish, you very often do not know how to do this, or you just don't want to hire anyone to manage all that infrastructure. Yet, there's cloud providers that you can just throw a big file to, onto a bucket, and then you can directly access that file from your client. So all your expertise you need is how to write websites, how to do JavaScript, TypeScript. You don't need to know how to set up servers, how to do Kubernetes, how to do Helm charts, and many other wonderful things that the backend people have created. And that's what simplifies it for everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Yuri. Any other questions?
Yes?
What's next for MapLibre? What do we got coming up?
All right, so we're trying to integrate MapLibre tile format pretty much in all parts of the stack. Very actively working. Version 1 specification kind of got released a couple of weeks ago. Now the next steps is actually realize those gains. And for that, you need to actually have very efficient parsing in JavaScript, in the native, and in all parts of the stack. The problem is MVT is a row-based system. You have a row which has geometry and some attributes, just like in the database. If you have MLT, which is columns, where all the values of one column go one after another, you need to either decode this and convert it into row, which is a very slow process. Then what's the point of performance gain if you just lost it? Or you have to change quite a few pieces of the stack to efficiently use that to not convert it to rows, but use the data directly. So that's a big effort going on. We are working on a number of newer technologies like WebGPU. We are trying to get Martin with all the new functionality capabilities. Styling is a big question right now because, like, oh, you have like all the styles being served, and this is my custom data going directly from Postgres. Now I want to custom style it, and now I have to use all these other tools that are not part of the same ecosystem to style them. So that's a challenge. But in general, just make everything better and better, and simplify it for you to contribute. Because remember, if you cannot contribute, then we're not doing our jobs. And it's all mostly volunteers.
Another question here, Brad.
I love this focus on new technology, but where is the focus in terms of supporting new technology versus those legacy formats and maintaining, compatibility with the legacy?
That's mostly the job of the maintainers. Actually, 80% of the maintainers, guesstimating, time is spent maintaining the code, updating it to the newer versions of the existing libraries, making sure nothing is broken. The staff that we have at MapLibre is hired to maintain and to accept new contributions. Mostly the new contributions are coming from you, or from big players, small players, volunteers, everyone. Maintainers' job, as I said, to maintain, to keep it going, and to guide you through the process of onboarding the new functionality.
Last question.
Thanks a lot. Sorry. This way. Could you really shortly elaborate how the plugin systems work? How to hook in and do something magical on top of it?
Rapidly, like really quickly. That's how it works. You can, there's a plugin system that allows you, well, there's a lot of layers to the plugin system, but fundamentally you can add things like, for example, ability to have custom tile sources. That's how PM tile support was originally implemented. There is a way to add all sorts of ways to visualize things on top of MapLibre. DeckGL, and we have some folks from DeckGL, are using that mechanism to do very complex visualizations on top of MapLibre, to like with all the 3D and web visualization stuff. Essentially, it's just a very elaborate mechanism of callbacks and other methods of extending the functionality. Similar paradigms exist in C++ in the native version, where people can extend functionality. Very often people fork it, but not fully fork. Basically, they fork just for the internal usage, but then continuously update from the upstream main repository to so they can have custom version. That's more common in C++ world than JavaScript world.
Sorry, I'm going to be strict on time, just in the sense of equity. So thank you, Yuri.
Thank you again.